Guys, welcome back to the kitchen table where business gets done. I'm your host, Ken Baden, and I'm here with Sam Wakefield of Close It Now. Sam, what's up, my brother? How are you?
Man, fantastic, brother. Thanks for having me on.
Dude, it's a pleasure to have you on. I'm so glad we got connected. I know we were just talking about some of our mutual friends, the Tommy Mellos, the Andy Elliots, talking about getting shredded. I mean, you look great, dude.
Where? Thanks, man. Yeah,
Is this, and you were
it's been a
saying, is
fun
this
journey.
like
It's
the
like
pinnacle
seven
of where you've
months,
been?
50 pounds.
50 pounds?
Yeah, pretty close.
I had no idea, man. Your PFP, you look good, but I guess why would you use the one where you're 50 pounds heavier, to be
Oh
fair?
yeah.
That's awesome, dude. 50 pounds, 7 months. So you said you were rocking at, not that this is like all fitness journey stuff, but I'm into it, man. And so you said you were what, like 12? I'm trying to get I'm working on my fitness too, dude. You know what I mean? I'm trying to build right now,
hmm
which pisses people off sometimes. And trust me, I get it because they're like, you want to gain weight, dude. But that's only because of the aid of places like TRTMD, where you can check them out and go get your testosterone replacement needs dialed in at any point in time. I just did an infomercial for them
Perfect
yesterday.
plug.
So
Good job.
there you go. Give me free peptides. Thank you. They do, and they're very good to me. But it is, seriously, if you're in the Maryland area, they're great. So I can cheat a little bit more than I used to be able to. And I know you were saying you're trying to achieve the elusive sub 10% body
Yeah.
fat. How long you thinking to be? When is that goal? I know you're a guy who sets goals. When are you trying to set that for?
Yeah, that's going to be before the end of the year. Right now, I'm rocking out 15.8 this morning. So, I've never been this low. So I don't have a feel yet for my body of, how long it's going to take to make the next
Yeah.
steps. But I know that I'll get there because consistent, disciplined, persistent action across time, there's no turning back.
No, no. And 15.8 is the most of America is not anywhere near that. So kudos, dude. I mean, that's a low bar these days, unfortunately, but 15.8 is great, dude. You look awesome, man. So glad we were able to get connected, man. Close It Now. Can you tell us, a little bit about kind of what you do? Let's get right into, what Close It Now is all about.
Yeah, word, man. So I started 6 years ago. I started a podcast, mainly because I was, sales manager for a moderately small HVAC company in the Austin, Texas area, and we sent two of our people up to a training that was pretty renowned. They came back with the slide deck, and they hadn't changed a single slide from 10 years before when I took the class. I took that sucker, I threw it in the trash. I said, "Screw that! Hop in the truck with me." So I started writing a system, and I realized that, I had a mess. If the people in my room needed to hear it, then somebody else probably did too. So I started the podcast. Turned it into 6 months later. Somebody reached out to me and said, I don't care how much it costs, take my money and coach me. And so I said, well, I guess it's time to open a coaching company. And from there, the rest is kind of history. So what we do is of course, the podcast is now top 2% podcast globally.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's crazy, dude. Congratulations, man. I
yeah,
can't wait to
thanks.
be on that, man. That's
Yeah,
such
you
a
never
freaking
know. We'll
accomplishment.
get you scheduled for sure. You never know. I didn't know where it was going to go, but 71 countries later, we are one of the most listened to home service and sales training podcasts. So we focus on psychology. We focus on all of the inner workings of the sale. This it's not just here learn the script and get good at it and fly little bird. Hopefully that's your miracle cure. No, we're talking about all of the difference, the controlling the energy of the cell, that type of thing, and the psychology behind
Mm.
it. And then out of that comes the coaching company. So we work with home services,
Mm.
mostly HVAC, electrical, plumbing, garage door, you name it. Anything outside of that, we
Shout
have
out
the
Tommy
ability
Mello,
to.
A1 Garage
Yeah,
Door.
yeah, word. Yeah, he was on my show recently. I was on his, and I know he's been on here as well.
Yes, yep, yep. Tommy's the man. And I did sign up, by the way, end of the month, but I signed up. I'll be coming on. I think it's May 30th, so I'm
Oh
excited.
heck yeah, yeah, good stuff. I hadn't got that update yet, so that's good to hear.
I hope I did anyhow. I don't know. It's plausible that I might have messed it up, but
We
I
can confirm it.
I think I
We,
clicked the right button.
yeah, but that's basically it. Well, it's not basically. There's a lot that's going on. Last year, I released a co-authored book. We hit international bestseller list,
What's the
and
book?
yeah, it's called Inner Revolution. It's 20 different authors that came together, and my content, of course, is about the power of language. Change your language, change your results is the name of the chapter. But there's everybody in there from mindset people to relationship to nutrition,
Hmm.
fitness, you name it. And it's a really cool book about personal growth.
I love that, man. I gotta ask, man. There's just some of the things you've already said. Do you do anything with like NLP, any of that stuff?
Oh, that's you're speaking my language now. In
Okay.
fact, the
Okay.
NLP and the psychology. I kind of simplified it for my show to brain science, but exactly what I do. That
Okay.
everything, all of the scripting, all of the language that we train is rooted in that because
Sure.
it's what's the inner workings, right? If we understand how brains work, it doesn't matter where we go or what we're selling or how we're communicating. It just opens the mind in a way where they hear you at a different level.
And so for those of you that don't know, and if you've listened to the podcast, you probably already know, but NLP is neuro linguistic programming. But basically, why do people do the things they do? The reason, but it's all the way down to their sensory based language to the how they buy anything is they buy it the same way, the same algorithm every single time.
Hmm.
But I actually went and got NLP certified for the sole purpose of, to your point, bringing it back to my people.
Hmm.
Uh, I just was so interested in what I considered to be like Jedi mind tricks for sales. And I was really into, because to your point, man, I really love the psychology of the sale. There's a book about
Hmm.
that. But disc method, understanding, how do I curtail my disc profile to this disc profile. And of course, mirroring techniques. And
Hmm.
I am so I cannot wait to. I can't wait to deep dive into your podcast because of that, man. Because as I said, I went out and spent the money. I got NLP coaching certified. I did my
Hmm.
breakthrough, so I love it. I speak the language, man. To your point, I
Beautiful.
could see how people might get a little lost in the sauce if they don't. But man, it's powerful. I think what I've struggled with, man, just and you could kind of maybe elaborate on this, but
Hmm.
what I've struggled with was when I did get it and bring it back. We do roofing and other products as well, and we teach a one call closing mechanism. And there's certainly elements of that that I start to input into my system, but I find that I
Hmm.
have to keep it very rudimentary and very surface level. Like, okay, here's the basics of this. Because if I get too in depth, I'm going to lose you because there's so many other things to learn. And
Hmm.
what I want to implement here coming up it's kind of like a next level master class for guys that have already absorbed the basics and now they can start to understand. They've got the fundamentals and now they can start to do a deep dive into things like real NLP, real, you know, next level
Yeah.
mirroring and things like that. What are your thoughts on that? Do you just go right in and just get your guys like full dosed in NLP, or do you kind of bring them along slowly? Or
Yeah, actually, it's we don't really focus on the NLP
okay,
aspect as much of it. What we do is, one of my main sayings is work to become someone worth buying from.
hmm.
So our focus is on all of the elements outside of your specific sales skills. Because I mean, you and I both know when you're somebody that's worth buying from, you can, and there's proof, you can take a top performer out of one industry and drop them in another one and then ask them, hey, how long is it going to be till you're on number one on the leaderboard? And they're like, oh, I don't know, a couple of weeks maybe, knowing nothing about the new industry. Well, why is that? Because of their internal identity. I know that I am a closer. I know that I am a top performer, that type of mindset. So we can focus on, nutrition and fitness and personal growth and relationships and their spiritual practice and get those things in order. The sales skills will follow. And we've basically inverted the whole model of training. And so let's focus on your life. And so it has a lot of elements of life coaching in it while we're training the brain science behind it, the NLP. And then just the NLP is sprinkled in, but
Hmm.
not in a way where we're just like trying to teach NLP. It's
Right.
let's just use the skills along the way.
Right. And I could totally see how that would work, man, because to that point, like it can get really unless you're going through a full like it just gets so and trust me, even then it's like, what are we talking about again? You know what I mean? So
Right.
I think that's a brilliant way to do it. And I love that, man. You're almost like you're coaching your people up in the things that really matter, which to your point is like, are you somebody that you would buy from, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
if you look in the mirror, yeah, you come in here and smile and high five, but are you doing the things throughout the rest of your life to where you can really carry that over into, your sales profession? Because
Oh
if you
yeah.
are, it should be a super easy transition. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? That's brilliant, man. I love
Yeah.
that.
One of the things that I say is, your energy introduces yourself before you ever knock on the door. And when we understand that concept, and when I say that, a lot of times, and especially in a room, full of blue collar guys, the contractors, and that type of thing, I get like looks at like a dog looking at a new pan, and I was like, well, here, let's prove it. How many of you have been in a, say, it's a dinner, a gala, an event somewhere in a closed space, and all of a sudden, like the entire room quiets down. There's no announcement made, no fanfare. Everybody turns and looks to see who just walked in. Why is that? Because that person's energy is bigger than the room. And so that's exactly what we're talking about. So when you work on yourself to become that person, it commands attention in a way that no one else has, to be able to command that quiet attention and be able to direct a room and to direct a cell, direct a conversation.
Hmm. And you teach that?
100%.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that's
amazing.
exactly one of the foundations of the training. I mean,
So
I call it the wheel of success or the wheel of life, but basically, we just work on a lot of elements to it.
I think and I was smiling because I use that analogy all the time. I say, think about, and I teach our folks, I say, listen, and it's old school thinking, like, oh, look better than the next guy. And I'm like, I don't mean you have to be like hot or attractive, but I'm talking like your presence, your posture, your grooming habits, all
Hmm.
of these things that tell me how much you invest in you, and I wear dress a certain way often. And I started doing that when I addressed my sales team because I remember when I was first coming in, I was so impressed by like the guys that interviewed me in the suits and the tie, whatever that looks like to you is really what's relative. But to me, that was what epitomized success. And I started stepping into that, and I found that I felt better for one. And if I look good, feel good, perform good.
Hmm.
But ultimately, you know, I said if you step into a room and you're dressed to the nines, and even if nothing else, just like I might not have ever gotten to say anything, and I was only in that room for a few moments, or someone who's like that, right? And to your point, their presence is so powerful. And in this case, the only thing I've been able to say is what I'm saying with my presence, you know, and to take that extra edge to be able to do that, why not? Why wouldn't you utilize that? And you're
Hmm.
breaking it down even deeper, and that just sheer energy alone can do that. Am really interested in, actually kind of elaborate on that, man. I'd love to kind of hear just a few tidbits, if you would, on kind of, I don't want you to give away the whole secret sauce, but I mean,
Yeah,
like,
no.
maybe elaborate a little deeper and kind of to
Oh,
how
100%.
one could possibly start to work on something like that.
Well, Ken, it all starts with your thoughts, right? There's a section that I do that is, I call it basically the belief identity matrix.
Mm.
Your thoughts, and actually all this comes from the Ralph Waldo Emerson quote of, what of the as a man thinketh type of mindsets.
Mhm.
But your thoughts create your belief about yourself. What you believe about yourself creates your identity, and your identity creates your outcome. So if we want to change the outcome, we want to change the results, we've got to go all the way back and start with our thoughts. And so that, is rooted in, in fact, I just read a study recently. There was a Japanese scientist. He had a class. They were proving how words change things. So he proved it with water, and he had these bottles of water. Had his entire class say hateful things to some bottles of water, of like, "Oh, you're ugly. I hate you," and then they had them say positive things to the other bottles of water, like, "I love you and you're great and you're awesome." And then they froze the water, put it under a microscope, and the ones that they were saying the negative stuff to, all of the crystals were like horribly fractulated, no patterns or anything. And the ones with the positive language, it it was beautiful formations of crystals
Wow.
and that kind of thing. Well, then when we take that a step further, our bodies are 70% water. So when we speak good things to ourselves and we affirm ourselves, so daily affirmations, we're speaking life into our identity, into our belief system about ourselves. And then by extension, that starts to carry on. And over time, we're programming that our brain to be who we say we are.
Mm. So starting with something as simple as daily affirmations, if you're an
Yeah.
actionable kind of guy, and verbally, so you're saying that out loud, right?
Hmm. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, and it's even more powerful. There's so much science behind to look at yourself in the mirror when you're doing your affirmations. And for everybody that doesn't believe in affirmations, you do it every day. You just don't
Yeah.
realize that's what you're doing, especially if you've got this negative self-talk and you're like, oh man, I'm so stupid or whatever. You're programming your brain. So why not, if we can what if down and what if negative, why not what if up
Mm.
towards, hey, let's what if to the positive. And so, our brain is just a input. It's a computer. So bad input in, bad input out. So let's put good stuff in there.
I love it, man. I read, I don't know if it was a study or a clip, but when I do my affirmations, for whatever reasons, man, like I got caught up in doing my positive affirmations in the shower. Weird, I know. I don't know. It's just like I've done my same routine, and then for me, whatever reason, it's the
Hmm.
shower when I'm in there, like I'm a great leader. I just say all the
Hmm.
same things, right? I usually attract the
Oh
people
yeah.
that I need to achieve my goals, blah, 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 right? And I say these things all the time. And I read or watched that doing those things in the mirror, to your point, but a step further, it was suggested that whatever hand you are, that if you're brushing your teeth, that it was a guy giving a breakdown of a morning routine and how to stimulate some different brain patterns or get your brain
Hmm.
going. And instead of using the right hand, use the left hand to brush your teeth and then tell yourself you love you X amount of times, some breathing. But it was said to do it in the mirror. And so that's interesting. I,
Hmm.
I wonder, you think it's just the fact that you're like looking yourself in the eye kind of deal, or?
Well, the everything that I've worked with a couple different people over the years. I had a business or life coach for a while, for a couple years. It was Oprah Winfrey's coach years ago, and
Okay.
so it was incredible experience. In fact, he reached out to me recently. He wrote a new book, so I'm going to have him on the show. But awesome person, and a lot of it came from him, this idea and this concept. And what he was telling me, and teaching me was, as we do that, our eyes, we've all heard that expression, our eyes are the mirror to the soul.
Mhm.
And it's very, very true. So we're it just takes the programming a next level. So kind of getting back to neurolinguistic programming, we're creating new neural pathways in our brain, and as we do that, it just helps to lock it in a lot more solidly. And of course, that's what we do in training. That's
Right.
why training, when we do sales training and coaching and working with our teams, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes consistent, disciplined action across time, because we're helping them create new neural pathways. They're saying words they've never said, they're having thoughts they've never thought. And so the more repetition we get with it, the more it locks that into, that's where confidence comes from.
Sure. Sure. Man, I love this, man. In fact, I was going to say I could listen to you all day, but you have an event coming up. When
I
when
do.
when is that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's gonna be in Boston, Massachusetts. It
Okay.
is May 6th, 7th, and 8th, and it's called Relentless: The Ultimate Sales Transformation. So what I wanted to do with this event, I've never been to any kind of boot camp or training event within the home services space, and I've been to, as you can imagine, like you have, hundreds, that you actually had more than just here's tactical things.
Sure.
So what I wanted to do was bring in some elements of, a la, say, Tony Robbins, and bring in some transformational things, some mindset things. We're talking about the parts of the sale that nobody talks about, the hard stuff. The how to control set a container in your sales appointment, so which opens up and creates a trust, a place of trust and comfort and ease, where people feel like they're comfortable to make a buying decision. And so we're going to be doing that, and we're doing some transformational stuff that daily affirmations we're starting off with. We're going to actually recently recorded a hypnosis and guided meditation for top sales performers to help people visualize that, what it is to achieve that. So all of that's wrapped into this event, as well as I've got some serious rock stars that are going to be on the stage with me that, in fact, one guy, he is, I'm sure you're familiar with who Jay Abraham is. He is the
Yeah,
only living person on the planet that is authorized to completely train 100% of Jay Abraham's content. So he is one of my keynotes at the event. He doesn't speak at home service events, but he came out of home service retirement to come to this event for me.
dude, that's amazing, man. We if we can get there, man, we may have to. I tell you what, if you're listening and you're likely in the home service industry, given that you're listening to this podcast, you need to go check it out, man.
Yeah.
That's powerful. I really, to your point, you go out there and a lot of it's just rah rah, and you leave out there and it's kind of like, well, did I get any actionable or anything I can really work on? I love that. I
Hmm.
love that about Tony Robbins, by the way. That's my goal, man. I think we talked briefly, but I've currently still have my remodeling company, and of
Hmm.
course, I've got the consulting company that I'm starting to, take back on some here and there. I can only do so much while I still have, I'm still very much firmly entrenched with the remodeling company until we exit, and we will. I'm manifesting that right now, have been for years, but but has a negative connotation, and we
And
uh, we we want to I want to be in that space, man, where I really want to get firmly entrenched in NLP, man, and working with people
yeah,
and helping people. I really dig it. So I love what you're doing. I love your whole deal. In fact, I got to be honest, man, your whole vibe and energy and even your tonality is relaxing, man. I really enjoy it. You were saying earlier that you were and now of course I'm going to botch it if I say it. Go ahead and throw me an alley oop. Kookaburra. Actually, no, I didn't. I didn't. You're the kind of well, the kookaburra of the
yeah,
home
yeah. The
service industry.
capybara, right?
Not kookaburra, capybara. Who's
Yeah,
kookaburra? Whatever.
kookaburra is the bird. That's right.
Kookaburra. Okay, capybara. Okay, yeah.
Capybara, yeah, that's it's kind of funny. I've adopted, I always had this like resonance with capybaras. I didn't know why, so I asked my Chat GPT the other day, and it gave me this really exhaustive list of they're trusted by everywhere they go. They're super confident, they're super chill, and it's basically I've kind of become the capybara of the coaching world.
I get it. I get it. I get it now, way more than I did before the show. I get
No
it,
doubt,
man. I get it. I get it. I get it. I love it, man. I love your vibe. Love your energy, man. We're gonna have to do some more stuff. I think we're gonna do. I'm very much looking forward to coming on your show, assuming I didn't botch signing up. But I'm also really looking forward to future interactions, man. I really love
100%, man.
all of what you have going on and your whole vibe, man. I think I can see why your podcast has done so well. Love it. I love your vibe, love your energy, man, and I love what you've got going on. I think that we need more of it, but I love that you're the guy that's running the torch, so to speak. So,
Yeah, yeah. Well, one of the main things, the reason I dive so hard into personal growth is, going to these conventions for the trades and what happened at the bar at the end of the day. I would hear these owners talk, and it's almost like this scorecard, and they'd be like, "Oh, Ken, man, how many heart attacks have you had, and how many wives have you had?" And it grossed me out so bad. I said, "We have to do better. We've got to raise the standard of our industries because that's no way to live." And so there's by beings that's where the whole be someone worth buying from and creating a company worth buying from, and worth working at. So when we have that culture around us, man, then we become unstoppable.
yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. The home service, blue collar space, there's all the memes and jokes, and even with roofing, right? Like, there's all this do you have a alcoholism problem or a heroin
Right.
habit? Okay, you're
Yeah.
hired. I see
Yeah.
all those
I never would have
videos.
guessed you were a roofer. You have all your teeth.
Right, exactly, man. And so I get it, and I think it's they're like, all right, here's what you're gonna need to be. It's a lot of videos and memes and gifs and all that stuff, and I get it. But to your point, man, I'm like, hey, we're not all like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And some of the most successful folks I know are heck, I know one of my mentors, Adam Champagne, listens to the show all the time, and he came from freaking not Wall Street but Capitol Hill.
Hmm.
I've got some guys that have came in here and come from cybersecurity or engineering and weird places that you would never, especially given just the typical disc profile of a sales rep. Talking about engineering, I mean that's just not even heard of. But they're not all. I love that you're doing your part to shift that the visual there where we could do way better, and
Hmm.
It's just not who we. If there's a lot of money and a lot of success in these industries, and it's important that the internals step up as well. You know what I mean? And so that's all great, right? But
Yeah, no
like
doubt.
the quality of the man and the woman, that's huge, man. I love that, and I love that you're working on that, man. And I'm sure. Do you still have Are you still doing like home improvement stuff, or is that way past, way beyond you?
No, yeah, I'm a couple years, 2, 3 years out of it now.
Sure.
I haven't been in the well. I say that every single time I do it on site. So we do several different types of training. We've got a virtual program. We definitely do on site, on location training for companies. And
Hmm.
so anytime I do it on site, we're half a day in the classroom, but then I'm doing ride-alongs for the second half of the day. So while I'm not doing it for my company any longer, we're in the field all the time. So I constantly want to keep a pulse on the consumer and how they're buying because I'm
Hmm.
a massive believer that the way people buy has dramatically changed in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And if we're not, really focusing in on the feeling and emotion behind the sale, we can't just sell on logic anymore. People buy on emotion, they justify it with logic, and then they justify that logic piece with another piece of emotion. And if we don't understand that customer journey and that flow, that's why we get cancels. That's why we get all these other things that we don't want.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I mean, I've heard, everyone buys on emotion followed by logic, but I've never heard somebody bring it back around with and then following another piece of emotion. So that's a great tidbit there too, man. I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
that.
it's and it's easy. Super quick is like, hey, one the emotion that they're moving away from is the pain. Of course, everybody moves away from pain. They're solving their problem, but the way to keep cancels from happening is won't it feel good to know that this is taken care of and you're not going to have to deal with it anymore. It's
Sure.
even a expression as simple as that, and bring it back to won't it feel good.
That operative word, feel.
Hmm.
That
And so
kinesthetic.
there's
I
your
love
little
it.
NLP
Yeah.
moment.
Oh, I love it, man. I love it. I love it. What do you have? I want to plug everything you have, man. I can't get enough. I can't get enough, man. I know. I figure you got the coaching with the close
Hmm.
it now. If you want to reach out to, how can people find you is the most important thing, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So for the event, in fact, we did a huge sale recently. We did a buy one get one ticket price, and so then it was so popular, we actually just kept that ticket price and extended it all the way to the event. So basically, tickets are half price now. So to get those, it's to find out more about the event, it's closeitnowbootcamp.com. So closeitnowbootcamp.com. And then to learn more about, I've got a Facebook group. Uh, Branding is insanely consistent. So search Close It Now on Facebook. You'll find the Facebook group. Join the group. Closeitnow.net is my website. You can learn more about me. In fact, it's getting a whole rebrand right now. So we've got a new website coming, but closeitnow.net. You can fill out the form, reach me there.
Cool.
And Instagram, the real Close It Now. Search Close It Now on LinkedIn. I'm everywhere.
Uh, Taking all these down, like it's not going to get edited, and then I'll be able to easily get them. But
Yeah,
anyhow,
download the transcript, throw it in the
yeah,
AI. It'll make you a
exactly.
summary.
I don't know. I'm like, really. What did you say? Yeah. Well, if we'll put it in the we'll make sure you guys have access to all of that. But close it now is the main
Hmm.
thing there, Sam.
And don't get it twisted too. One of the things that we talk about a lot on the show is the while I do absolutely just like you train a one call close, we the biggest missing piece in sales and home services is follow up. So I have a very robust follow up training that I do as well, because I mean I'm here to tell you, like over across 10 for my own numbers across 10 years, I kept a 58% close rate, and I tracked it. It was 48% of those came from after I left the house.
Mm,
So I'm talking about I would have people in our pipeline in our team, we would have people not call from just, weeks or months back. We would have people call from years back in our
wow.
pipeline.
Wow.
And so the last several years I was in the field, I was closing 300K a year strictly on people that called me from previous, the phone rings. It's, oh, thank God you still work there.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Which is it's huge, by the way, on the way out because you read the books and it's like, hey, you got about a 2% chance of closing
Mhm.
after you
I
leave.
don't believe that for a second. I would argue I'll die on that hill.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, those numbers, and I mean, it's, I get it. You know what
Yeah,
I
our
mean? But
society it's not like it used to be. We have
no,
to
and
adapt.
those are the old hammer and nail ways, man. I just don't
Yeah.
think it's here anymore. I really don't.
Yeah, it's like one, single leg appointments, Of course we're going to do schedule a second appointment virtually, Let's throw it on a Zoom. Why do we have to
Yeah.
go back?
Right, right. We've already gotten that. Yeah, that's interesting, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
of course, we want to get them both involved, but do we have to go? We've already gone out once. Like, let's do a Zoom. Let's save the time. I love it, man. That's a
yep,
very
good
interesting
stuff.
way of thinking. Yeah, because you're not wrong, man. I mean, I say this all the time. I just think the hammer and nail approach is just, I've seen it. I make it my business to know what these different companies are doing as well. And the ones that used to be staunchly like, no, you do not get commission if you do not. They'll give them 24 hours,
Hmm.
2 days, 3 days, a week. I've seen a week. And,
Yeah,
I get the necessary like follow up and the chains of command and the rehashing and all that, but you can
yeah,
still do that. You just need to be staunch. I'm like, okay, well, what are you willing to get? 24, 38 for 48?
that's it.
You
Yeah,
know,
it's just a simple process. I call it BAM FAM. Book a meeting from a meeting. As long as they will commit to the next appointment date, time, and how to be contacted, you put it both on your calendar at that same time, and then in the meantime, you're adding value. I don't call it even a part two. It's more of like this is just to be continued. That
yeah.
sell's not over. As long
Yeah.
as they're engaging, that sell is open. You step out
Yeah.
of the home services, you got people that are, follow up a year and a half to make a sell. Who
Hmm.
cares?
Yeah.
It's just mailbox money.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I love that. Like, hey, you've set the another appointment, you've set a date, time, and all of those things. It's real. Because to your point too, you get those guys that are gonna, oh, I'm still working that. Like, well, are you? Are
Are
you
you?
now? You know what I mean? Did you
That's where
set something?
management comes in.
Right. Right. Precisely. Look, man, I have been, this has been awesome, man. I honestly, I'm excited to come on and I'm excited to talk to you more, man. I'd love to get you back on. We'll have to do some stuff and link up, man. Like I
Word.
said, I want to
Yeah.
have an event here locally as well. So I'll keep you in the loop, man, and be honored to see
100%,
if we can
man.
get you out
Yeah.
here.
Put me in, coach.
Let's
I'll
go,
do the
dude.
same
Let's
thing.
go,
I'll be
baby. We'll
having
talk
another
NLP
one.
and blow
We'll,
everybody's minds out.
yeah, we'll get you on my stage too.
I would love it. I would love it. Dude, thank you so much for coming, guys. Check him out. Check it out. Close it now. Make sure you're at the event, and we will see
Yep.
you guys next time.
Appreciate it.